Hi, my name is Deanna Burgart, and I'm an Indigeneer. I'm an Indigenous engineer and technologist who spent 17 years in the oil, gas, and pipelines industry and left about a year and a half ago to start my own company, Indigenous Engineering Inclusion. I also have 10 years of experience contract instructing in oil, gas, and pipelines, and a passion for training and development and youth outreach. I started in the industry as a single mother and decided to take chemical engineering technology at SAIT and worked for 8 years in the oil and gas industry in regulatory compliance and operations and the upstream petroleum industry, so in well operations. And then I went back to school to get my engineering degree. And when I graduated with that, I went into the pipeline industry for a number of years where I worked in design, operations, sustainability, and risk management. About a year and a half ago, I realized that my passion was really in working to bridge the gap between industry and Indigenous communities. I am on Treaty 7 territory and I am from Treaty 8. I'm from Fond du Lac First Nation. I was born in Edmonton. I spent much of my childhood in Singapore and was introduced to the concept of cross-cultural communication and understanding different perspectives at a very young age. And so I think that's one of the reasons that I've been so passionate about Indigenous inclusion and inclusion in general. Another area that I'm focused on is corporate cultures and how do we create a culture of inclusion and a culture of innovation, because I do think that they are completely related. I think that the factors that lead to a culture of innovation are the factors that create a culture of inclusion, and I think that the more diverse voices we bring to the table in energy and engineering in development are actually going to help us solve our greatest challenges today. Challenges like climate change, water quality, and energy efficiency. I also have been pivoting my skill set in the past year and a half and learning a lot more about renewable energy. I joined the Energy Futures Lab as a fellow in 2017 and have been working on a couple of innovative pathways, one of them being Indigenous entrepreneurship in energy. I think that the energy industry, really needs more Indigenous voices at the table. And so one of the ways that I'm committed to having a part in helping that happen is through my training and workshops and speaking. So I have developed my own training courses that I customize depending on the client. I have delivered pipeline workshops and petroleum, oil and gas, energy workshops to First Nations communities, to government, and to industry for the past past 5 years. In addition to my day job. And when I realized that that was really where I wanted to work, that's when I stepped away from my corporate role and started my own company as an entrepreneur. So I also have been doing a lot of work with youth outreach. When I look back to when I was on my journey as a single mother, I had a lot of really valuable mentors, a lot of support along the way at where I did my upgrading at Bow Valley College, and then again at SAIT, and again at Lakehead University. And so it's always been very important to me to give back and kind of pay that mentorship forward. And I've worked with youth as young as grade 3. This year I'm going to start working with kindergarten to grade 6 on a Indigenous robotics initiative with Power to Choose, which is an Indigenous science camp that I've volunteered with for the past few years as a mentor. And so that's one area that I'm really excited about. Just it's really important to me that we engage our youth younger so they can get past those early barriers in science and math and empower them to continue down that path. Engineering itself requires some pretty challenging prerequisites to get in. And so the younger we engage our youth, the better chance they have of success. I am a keynote speaker now with the International Indigenous Speakers Bureau, and I'll post a link to the Bureau as well. My journey with the IISB has been amazing. Shannon, I've really felt supported in mentorship and learning the business of speaking. I've done a lot of training through the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers and a number of different workshops. And just in the past year, I've really turned my focus in this area as well. I think one of the biggest things for me with entrepreneurship was spending the time to get really clear on what I want to do and what's important to me, what is my mission. And my mission is to help be a catalyst for more Indigenous voices in energy and engineering. And so to do that, I've chosen a number of different initiatives. One is youth. One is starting and getting kids excited and engaged young. Two is my involvement with the Energy Futures Lab. We are in an energy transition as a global, as the whole world is in transition and trying to figure out what does the energy future look like over the next 30, 40, 50 years, and how do we do it in a sustainable way. And three, I'm working with post-secondary institutions to address the truth and reconciliation calls to action on education and looking into how to meaningfully incorporate Indigenous perspectives into engineering. Some post-secondary institutions refer to it as indigenizing their curriculum. And so I'm working on some projects in that arena as well. So what sort of training should our future engineers have in Indigenous rights, Indigenous history, worldviews? And so it's not only encouraging more Indigenous people to consider careers in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, but encouraging non-Indigenous people to develop a greater understanding of Indigenous perspectives, to incorporate that in their work, to incorporate that in the work that impacts the communities that they are in. And so I'm working with some amazing people on these initiatives. With my background in pipelines, I do a lot of pipeline training. And one area that I'm working on right now is indigenizing curriculum to teach pipeline monitoring for Indigenous people. So we can empower our communities to be a part of leak detection, spill prevention, and reduce the impact that any potential incident might have on the environment or on people. Pipelines need to be monitored. They are required to be monitored throughout their life. And so if we had more Indigenous communities with skilled workers in this area, there could be a lot of opportunities there, I think. So that's one thing that I'm working on right now. And I've had the opportunity to realize over the past 20 years what I really love to do. In terms of teaching, I love to take technical topics and translate them in a way that everybody can understand. I love to help empower people. I love working with communities and helping empower them. So when they are engaged by industry, they have a basis of understanding in a way that they can make a more informed decision. I'm not in the business of saying a project should go or not go, which is one of the reasons that I left the industry. I'm not against the industry, but I knew that I had more freedom to work on the projects I wanted to work on if I wasn't representing an individual company in industry. So I'm really grateful for the chance to talk to you today, and I would love to chat further, and hopefully when I get a better internet connection or when things get sorted out, maybe we could do a live conversation at some point. But in the meantime, I do hope to connect with anyone that's interested in learning more. I would love to hear your thoughts and perspectives on energy transition, on sustainability, on economic development and Indigenous entrepreneurship in energy. That is an area that I would really like to see more of, and do what I can to help help others get there. I faced a number of challenges in the industry, and I think some of the main ones were really finding a place for myself. I was passionate about Indigenous engagement, but I was not in the Indigenous engagement profession or department. Passionate about regulatory compliance, but I was rarely in the regulatory compliance department. And to be honest, I've been described as a purple squirrel, which is funny because I'm wearing purple today. But a purple squirrel is somebody who's skilled in a number of areas, and sometimes it's very difficult in a corporate setting to decide where to put them. I tend to be more passionate about bridging gaps and kind of doing that silo busting, breaking down communication barriers between departments and between groups and between people. So I realize that is the area that I want to be in. One thing I'm very excited about is there is a new gathering coming up in February. It's called .caises. And basically what it is it's the Canadian chapter, national chapter of ACES. ACES is the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. And .caises seeks to connect Indigenous post-secondary students and professionals in the STEM professions, science, technology, engineering, and math, in a place for networking and sharing learnings. And so this conference is taking place February 23rd to 25th in Calgary at Mount Royal University. It's being sponsored. Our corporate presenting sponsor is Nutrien, which is the new company that resulted from the merger of Potash Corp and Agrium. And so we're very excited to bring them on board as a sponsor. And there's a lot of great things happening. Working on a first robotics initiative with young people, young Indigenous folks in Tsuut'ina Nation and potentially Kainai, and looking for mentors. If you like to build robots with Lego, I'd love to hear from you. And I'm looking forward to connecting with anyone. So you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. On Facebook, it is Indigenous Engineering Inclusion. You can just search for my page. And LinkedIn is under my name, Deanna Burgart. And same with Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. And I do appreciate the time spent with you. Thanks again. And I hope to connect with you. And thank you so much to Indigenous Opportunities and Empowering Women. This is such a great initiative. Okay, bye-bye.